What's up, guys? Let's break down today's trade that we did on the live. We had some difficulties with the internet as we were, going on the live, but that's okay because I know that the team was able to catch it. Uh, what we did here was clear as day. We had a break to the downside, right? We had a sell off, a major sell off, but what we're looking at is the opening range. And to make it very simple, how we trade is basically based off of one candle. This one candle being the first 15 minutes of the day, right? Now, what we did was the candle was in a sell-off, in a short. So we marked off the 50% range with just these two parts of the fib on, okay? So zero point 0.5 and 0.618, okay? What that's giving us is the mid-range of, a retracement of the opening range and allowing us to really see if it comes back to that zone, a good entry spot for it to come out of that zone and, possibly take a play. So me personally, I wouldn't take that play unless it was a secondary play myself. If it bounced out of the opening range and then pulled back into that zone, I would definitely take that out of it. That's what I would do. Personally, I only take the first play that I'm taking for the day outside of the range and with a few key parameters and confluences as well. Okay. Let me break it down. We trade on the 5 minute. Okay. So as we're coming into the day, let's rewind a little bit. As we're coming into the day, let's rewind even further. So you have your opening range set, okay? And as your opening range is set, let's drop this down to 1 minute so you can see it. As your opening range is set, you're watching this pull back up. Right here, I was telling everybody on the live call, this is a valid entry if you want to. Just be very, quick to protect it because at the bottom of your opening range, it could easily be a stopper or a blocker, right? It might just retest off that line and come back. What I don't want to have happen is get into a play, have to protect it right away, and then, get stopped out or something like that early. So what I wait for is exactly this, okay? Next play comes in. This candle is telling me that it closed outside of the range and we had a little bit of a retracement on this next candle. This little retracement right there is exactly what I was waiting for my entry. Let's see if it allows me to paste it. Okay, so what I have here is exactly what my entry was. Now, if you notice, I have a level on screen. You're looking at basic market structure. If you're up already in your play. So on ES, I'm looking to risk 5 points to make 15 points. It's not crazy. It's sustainable. It's a stable play that you can do every single day, especially with a play as strong as a break outside of the opening range. All we're looking for is 15 points off this. We were able to catch 18, but let's watch how it played out. I took 18 with my trailing stop right there. And as my trailing stop came in, we got stopped out right there. Now, as this 3 bars down for us, we know that we're getting even stronger. So I put my trailing stop instead of having a set TP. Personally, I put a trailing stop once we hit a certain point. So when I'm aiming for 15 to start. So my 5 to 15 is my original goal, okay? But I don't set a hard TP. What I do is I have a trailing stop start at 13 and it trails 2 behind every single point that it goes up. So as it goes to 14, this thing goes to 12, right? As it goes to 15, it's at 13. As it goes to 17, it's at 15. So by the time it hit 18, which it did, it hit 18.25, I was able to take 16.25 out of this play. Perfectly happy, hit my target for the day, basically a one and done. And, we move on to tomorrow, right? Now, a few things that you can keep in mind as, you're trading this strategy is this. Yes, you could get into the play right here. You could potentially take this play as soon as it breaks the zone, or I could have taken the first entry up here, but it's not within my trading parameters. So my trading plan is to wait for the break, the close, and then a little bit of a retracement or a big one. It doesn't matter as long as it stays within, short pattern. I'm good with it. But I waited until I got confirmation of the short, which was right there. And that was my play. So if you're looking at a play like this, what you want to see happen, especially on the 5 minute, is you want to see this close and confirm that it's ready to break out. Because a lot of the times, and I'm sure you've noticed this if you've ever traded the orb before, you notice this. It pulls out of the zone and then it pulls right back into the zone. And then it could really just make its break up, right? We know this. So we have to be careful and wait for a retest. Now, there's obviously a whole bunch of different ways of playing this, but this is my strategy through and through. What I do is I aim for a one and done. If my first play fails, I then look for another entry. Another entry looks a lot like this. This fails, comes up. Actually, it will look more like this. Right? Let's look at it like this. Oops. Let's pull it over here. It'll look like this. So it doesn't, let's get rid of this. It doesn't pull out of the zone, or it pulls out of the zone, it closes, but then it doesn't give me the short underneath this candle. So what it does is it retraces. Once it retraces, then you can get a continuation up on the next candle. And if that happens, I'm looking for it to break this 50%. If it doesn't break the 50% and it retraces out just like this is now my valid entry. At that point, that would be my valid entry to take this down on my 5 to 15 that I'm risking. That would be my entry at that point. Invalidated for me is this pushing above it and pushing out the other side, which then gives us another validation on this side to then take the exact same type of play on the way up. I only will take one if it's a winner, two if the first one loses. That's it. I hope this information helps you on playing the orb in the opening range breakout in the way I specifically do it. If you want to trade live with me doing this exact same strategy, have the confidence of what I'm doing while you're doing it, join me every single day of the week at 9:15 a.m. where I break the chart down. I go over a little bit of learning and education side of it. At 9:30, the opening bell plays. We either play a play then or we don't, but we definitely are always looking for the opening range to set up and then play our cards from there, right? We have a pretty good win rate. It's around 70 to 80% success rate on this play because we're not taking just any old play. We're waiting for, specific confluences and specific things like what I showed you before we get into the play. All right. If you like this information, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the live tomorrow.